Hey, so my name's Tristan. I've been at Chenard's for about 4 years now. I just graduated from OSU with a degree in natural resource management. Thank you. And working here has been really cool because I almost got a dual degree. I'm working with ecological restoration, environmental science, while also learning about all the different plants and different families here. And now I'm the native plant buyer, so it really is serendipitous. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about Pacific Northwest native wildflowers, specifically from seed and bulb. Now, not many nurseries around Oregon actually tend to carry native seed and bulb. A lot of the profit and money you can actually make from it is through restoration work and different contracts, so big scale things. So Seven Oaks, as you may have heard, is a nursery we work with that they typically don't work with retailers. So it's a real privilege to have their stuff here. And then the seeds, these guys, they come from a place near Salem called Heritage Seedlings. They typically work with big scale production, but they are giving us small amounts. So I got these are like pound bags and then I got ounces. And I'm going to pass these around and let you guys kind of feel the seeds and get a feel for them. It's really cool to see what they look like. And yeah, some of them are super small. It's fun. So yeah. And any initial questions?
When you have the seeds,
Yeah.
can you buy them through you in bigger amounts?
I can special order. It's not a huge thing I do, but yeah, definitely. Like a customer wanted like half a pound of a specific mix that Heritage does, and I did special order that for them. So it is something we can do. Okay, let me get started. Okay. So why I always like to start with this slide when we're talking about natives because everybody has their own reasoning for growing native plants, and all of them are valid. There's quite a few. They help give us a sense of place in our community because the more you know about the plants and the environment around you, you're able to actually engage with that environment very well. And you can also connect through restoration efforts in the community. I mean, there's Denali Creek. Hi, welcome in. So yeah, it's just, it gives you a sense of place. And they also typically do not require as much watering care specifically. They can handle the wet season, they can handle the drought, especially with our clay soil. It makes it kind of difficult with a lot of ornamentals. So they definitely help a lot with that. Um, and they also help feed a lot of the pollinators that are ignored by many of the foreign perennials that we get. So like solitary bees, a lot of the bumblebees we have, mason bees, leafcutter bees, all that. They love the native plants. And I'll go over specific pollinators and all of that later. And then, you don't just have to plant native things. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, if I plant a helenium in this spot, it's going to take over because native plants are wild and crazy. But I found that if you train them, prune them like once a once a season, they actually can respond quite well. So you just have to give them a little bit of work, and they can turn out quite well. So yeah, and oh, my picture. I worked on the fade. There we go. That's actually from Seven Oaks that we got last year. Just a nice little gallon pot that we got. And then, yeah, so things to understand when buying natives is what scale are you trying to get a native plant? Because obviously there's the Willamette Valley. You can go at a regional scale. Um, you can go to Oregon native, west side of the Cascades, east side of the Cascades. There's different scales at which you can look at it. Um, Everybody has opinions on this. I say, as long as it's west of the Cascades, it's fair game for right now because so many people are spreading invasive species. I say we just need to at least help in any way we can. And there's really no harm unless you're combining genuses and like hybridizing and spreading them prolifically, you're fine to just get one native and even if it's native to the northern section of the state, So yeah. And also climate change is affecting the way we look at different habitat ranges for many natives. So things are changing. And then So yeah, you want to know your ecoregion. You also want to know the amount of sun, moisture, all that that's in your given area. That can really help inform what you're going to plant. Um, and then do we all know differences between annuals, perennials, biennials, all that? Okay, sweet. I won't go over it then. But a lot of the natives that we have from seed are going to be annuals. There are a lot of perennials too, but a lot of them are annual. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, let's see. All right. I spent a lot of time on those. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, we have a lot available here. And in this slideshow, I'm gonna mainly show you what we have available, just not get your hopes up on certain things. But I'll give you resources to kind of delve deeper if you want after the class. But yeah, so fall is the best time to seed native plants because they need the cold stratification. It depends on the species, but that just means they need cold period for maybe 30 days or 3 months, depending. And also wet weather is also one of those triggers. And so yeah, seeding now is a great option. Transplants are also great to do right now as well, as I have some natives over there for you to look at. They tend to have a better success rate, of course, but you don't get as many out of them. And then we also have bulbs. They're more expensive, but if you think of them as a separate plant, it's just dormant. They will be much more established and will flower sooner for you. So that is the caveat there. But the issue with them is you need to plant them very fast. They can dry out or they can rot. So you just really have to be careful with that. Um, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go through specific species now. So if you guys have questions, just ask me during the class. Yeah, so of course, showy milkweed. Have any of you grown this yourself? You have? Oh, sweet. Okay.
Start in a pot, so I'm getting ready to transfer.
Okay, sweet. That's awesome. So these guys are we're in their northernmost range. Most milkweed are going to be much warmer in their climate and their toleration, but they're great over here in our full sun spots. They can spread quite crazy. So the big thing that because I've been growing one for about 2 years, and I just go out and pick all the suckers, and it's kind of worked. It's trained, like I was saying, it's trained itself to kind of put more energy into the center column rather than going outward. Um, Now you can.
Like there is no pulling that thing out.
It's
There.
insane. They can be crazy. That's why some people like to just do them in a pot, like you're doing. It depends on the area you have, right? Like some people want to fill in a big field, and that they're a great thing to do that. Not a big field, but big barren area of the
They
yard.
help with erosion.
They do, yeah, they do definitely, because their roots aren't they're a bit fibrous and they spread laterally typically. So yes, definitely. Now, I don't sell the seed just because the germination rate is kind of crappy. So we don't, but they're easy to collect. You can collect a bunch of seeds once you actually have one plant. They can get like 4 to 5 feet tall, but they respond to pruning, so you can definitely do that. They'll just send more shoots from the crown. And what we sell is not a bulb, it's a tuber. We refrigerate it in the fridge up front. And you have to keep it refrigerated until you're ready to plant. And then like in fall, right, like right now, you can do that and it'll be good, but definitely keep it refrigerated, or else it'll dry out. But yeah. And then, it's not just monarchs that use it as habitat. It's a lot of other insects that use its nectar. Hummingbirds, like Anna's hummingbird, all those will definitely come over to it. So it's a good addition. And they look kind of alien. I like it. Um, yeah. And Dodecatheon, Hendersonii, or shooting stars. These are fun because they're actually specialized to attract bumblebees specifically, and bees, but mainly bumblebees. It's called buzz pollination or floral sonication, however you say that. They love full sun, but can handle dappled sunlight in certain instances, like under an oak tree, where it's typically pretty dry, is a good spot. They have really, really small, I forget if it's a bulb, I think, but they're like winged. They have wings on them and they're very fragile. But once they're established, these guys can handle neglect like nobody's business. So They're really pretty. It's a huge genus within Oregon, but this one is the one that grows the west of the Cascades pretty
Yes,
prolifically.
I put them at the state park between here and Longmont
Oh,
on 99.
I gotta check that out. Is it like a big
Yes.
patch? Okay, yeah, and that's what's fun about them is they kind of will spread underground and be really established. And the bees. It is shooting stars. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I go by the scientific name a lot because it helps, but I will definitely give you the common names too. You just ask me, and then yeah, that's the main thing with them. And these will come in bulbs as well, so I'll have those available. They're not here yet, but yeah,
Just curious,
yeah.
a lot of genuses end with II.
Ah,
Is that
mhm.
PI? Pronounce it PI?
I say Hendersonii. Yeah, and like Menziesii, or like the tree, like Douglas fir. That's what I say. But Latin is dead, so I say do whatever you want. It's dead language. Okay, a classic. We got Trillium. These guys are really hard to start from seed just because they take, obviously they're very picky, but they take a long time to flower. It can be 2 to 5 years until you see a flower. Um, Now, a lot of people have their own strategy for getting these established, but what I think is the best thing is just trying to go out in the forest and see where they grow and really trying to mimic that. So they're typically under a canopy of a deciduous tree typically, so it gets that sunlight when the leaves are off of the branches because they emerge quite early. And it also stay drier in those just under the deciduous canopy because they want a moist habitat but still well draining. But they're picky. You really have to have a right site, not too much sun, not too much shade. Kind of annoying. So yeah, and then there's like 5 different species in Oregon. Oh,
I'll let you talk. That's what I was gonna ask.
oh, yeah. There's a bunch of different species. We have the giant white, but there's some that are obviously protected, like the red one. I forget the Latin name for that one. They're beautiful though. Definitely research them a little bit. There's a website I love called Oregon Flora. Check that out. It's really helpful for just finding cool unknown plants. And then North America is like the hotspot for these guys. We have 43 different species in North America, but yeah, they're beautiful. And yeah, they're typically in very moist wetlands in the winter, and then the summer they tend to dry out. But yeah, let's see. Chemists. I'm doing all the popular ones. Don't worry, we'll get into some you don't know. So these guys are part of the lily family. You guys have definitely seen them all around Corvallis. Um, Kind of the same thing. From seed, they take a long time to establish. But what you could do is get a bulb, what I like to do. And then once the seed's ready to collect, you can just throw it out around the camas you already have. And then eventually they will flower and produce something for you. So there's two varieties that we carry, Comash and then the Great Camas. The differences are quite subtle, I would say. Obviously, there's a height difference, different petal arrangements sometimes, and then the Great Camas comes in white as well. Quite often, you'll see it out there in the thicket. These are wetland plants, so if you have a really like wet spot in your yard, it's a great spot to start. But they can handle moist as well. But they definitely like the seasonal flooding and stuff. So
If
yeah,
you have I have an area where there's some growing, but it's mixed grass and
yeah,
can you just like dig out a spot, put the bulb in?
yeah, totally. Because they can kind of their leaves are pretty like thin,
Grassy.
so they yeah, exactly. So they can kind of just push up and break out of that canopy from the grass.
Okay.
But definitely give them a little like 2 inch
Right.
in diameter spot, and that should
Bulb.
yeah, yeah, and bulb, yep. And then they should be good to go.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and then they can also grow on slopes. So as long as like maybe in the winter there's a slight outflow of water from the top of a hill, they can handle that as long as it's getting some seasonal flow and staying somewhat wet. Yeah. And then I think that's mainly it. Yeah, they're in wetlands and meadows. You see them everywhere. So, yeah. This is one of my favorites. This is the fawn lily. Um, they are kind of like the trillium, I think, in their habitat needs. They do not do well in full sun, so dappled sun, maybe somewhere if you have a creek on your property, near there would be like a riparian zone is great for them. A big thing about them is in summer, like when we're irrigating our other perennials or something, they hate getting water on their crown once they're established. So you really have to be mindful of that because they'll rot real easy. So you just have to be, because I mean, if you think about it, in the typical forest, we're not getting rain in the summer, like at all. So something to think about with all natives is that, like, how does the natural climate actually interact with them? But yeah, oh, and then I wanted to show you guys, there is another counterpart on the coast that's really pretty. This guy, it's a pink one. It's pink. So they don't do well inland. They need that moisture from the coast, so probably can't grow them here. But they're freaking cool. And but you could grow them, but it's just they wouldn't do too well.
They need year-round moisture.
Definitely. Okay. It's Columbia Lily. I love these guys. If you drive up to Mary's Peak, they're all over there. They're lovely. And what's nice about a lot of the bulbs I've talked about is eventually they'll produce little bulblets. I'm sure you've seen that word. And that just means they're going to spread laterally and become more dense. And so these guys, again, if you start from seed, 3 to 5 years to maturity. So I recommend a bulb, and I am getting these this year, which is exciting. We never have gotten them. And moist, well-draining soil. So something high in organic matter, but still water's not sitting in the soil. Um, Part sun, but they can be in full sun in like meadows and stuff. You see them out there. As long as it's like not all day sun, they can handle it. You'll get a bunch of different pollinators to this guy. A lot of bees and some hummingbirds. But yeah, they're lovely. They can get quite tall too. It's kind of interesting. They can get up to like 5 feet, 6 feet sometimes. I've seen some that are that big. But yeah, what is going on up there? I'm just gonna check on the Zoom, make sure everything's good. Yep, okay. So this is Brodia elegans. This is actually a really fun one that is quite interesting. So these can handle really drought-stricken areas. Um, and the indigenous tribes of the Willamette Valley actually, how they did with camas. I forgot to mention, they would put camas in the ground and burn it for a long time, bake it, and then you could eat it. This is similar. And there's the elegans right here, which is more of an upland dry habitat species, and then coronaria, which looks very similar, is a wetland. So if you have two different sites, you can kind of meld these two together, and they'll grow just fine. Um, this one, harvest lily, yeah. And what's really cool about them, if you can see in this photo, the bottom one, um, so their leaves come up. They're really weird, stringy green leaves, and then they die off in the summer, and then the flower blooms. So it almost looks like it's blooming from death. Like it's interesting. And yeah, so like this photo up here, you can just see the specks of blue, and then yeah, it's really cool. And they spread, like I was saying, through the bulblets and stuff laterally. So you buy a couple, and they'll eventually fill out an area.
Oh.
Ah, very short, very short. They're about 4 inches tall max. So more of a ground cover for sure. Yeah, let's see. Oh, nice. Yep. Okay, here we go. So now I'm going into the seeds. This is what we have available for you guys here. The bulbs are coming on Monday. I'm gonna go pick them up. So keep that in mind. This is called Oregon Sunshine, and I can see why they would name it that. These guys need full sun, good drainage. They do reseed really well, so you would have to put it in an area that you can easily control or that you want to just fill in with wildflowers. It's a great reseeder. Pollinators love it. A lot of bumblebees go to this guy. If you have a rocky slope that has good drainage, you can seed there very easily. And then I wanted to show you. I think I have them over here. I might have used all of my area phylum seeds. Okay, I don't have them yet. But yeah, they're pretty good. And we also sell them in the spring in 4 inch or gallon pots too. But yeah, any questions so far?
Season 3.
They're gonna bloom Actually, they can rebloom, but typically like late June to late August. Yeah.
And you said they reseed themselves?
They do. Yep. Yep. You can collect them really easily too. And if you don't want them reseed, you could also go through and deadhead, and that'll just get you a rebloom, and you don't have to deal with the seeds. So it varies. So if it's in less sun, like if it's in a shady area, it'll stay pretty stout. But in full sun, it gets pretty like 4 feet, 3 feet. Yeah, yeah, they can. That's a mature plant though. So, especially if you cut them back, like I was saying, they'll stay pretty stout and kind of spread width-wise rather than tall. Um, this is actually one of my favorites. This is Gilia or Globe Gilia. Globehead Gilia is the common name. Um, these can actually establish really well in a lot of our clay soils. Obviously, they need some amending with organic matter and help with the drainage, but they're stunning. They're really small, like they're like that big, like a quarter. But once they're established, they create like a thicket of these blue globes. They're lovely. And the bees, like so many, the diversity I saw on mine this year was shocking, really. And yeah, a lot of bees love it. It's a dry land plant. Have you guys seen this around much? Yeah, okay, sweet. Yeah, I feel like I see it on the streets pretty decently lately. But I didn't before I started working here, and I was like, I love this plant. And then it also easily reseeds. The seeds are really small. I don't know. I should have had this more organized, but I don't. Let me just go around and show you some of these seeds, though. This is like yarrow. You can pass that around. This one is like a type of bean that we have. Here you go. You just pass those around. They're fun, but a lot of the native seeds are really small. So when you get one of these packets, it does say it covers 100 square feet. Now that's also assuming, like, it's assuming that they'll spread because they will. So you definitely have to keep that in mind because it doesn't look like there's a lot in there, but it definitely is. It'll be enough for sure. Um, so what I'll tell you in here, but you do like a mix of coco coir or vermiculite is a good strategy, at like 2/3 the volume. And then you mix that together and then spread it because that'll get it more even. But yeah. And then Colomia, this one's really fun. So these guys are going to be in, dry meadows, open wetlands, but also in woodlands. As long as they have enough sun. These guys really don't like too much moisture on their leaves because I don't know if you guys know, but phlox is pretty good at getting powdery mildew. So you have to be wary of that.
This is like a.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's not, I don't think it's in the phlox genus per se, but it's in that area because it's Colomia, so it's a bit different. Um, now they do want moist soil in the spring, and then summer they can handle the dry. What's really fun is they have blue pollen. I didn't get a good photo, but if you see right there in the center, it is blue, and the bees will look blue. It's so fun. So yeah, and I have a bunch of these seeds because they were
Called.
it is, oh gosh, the common name. It's Western phlox. It's a Western phlox. I don't know the exact common name. I'll get that to you. But yeah, Colomia grandiflora. Okay. Okay. Perfect. And then this one also reseeds pretty readily. And this one's found on our side of the Cascades and on the east side. So if you know anybody over there, you can also tell them to plant this. All right. This one's pretty fun. This is a ground cover. It's also an annual. Now these guys like rock walls, rocky, sandy, well-draining soil. Full sun is important for these. They have a really striking blue and purple color to them. Very pea-like flower. The bee will go in here in that little tiny opening. It's for very small bees, so like solitary ones, some of the leaf cutters, they like these. Um, and yeah, if you have a like really dry spot that is not doing very well, you can spread these and they will colonize it pretty dang well. But yeah, really small, as you can tell. But yeah, they'll spread and establish quite well. I put some kind of near the front of my house where there's like a drip from the top of the house and they spread really well. So they do like some moisture, but not like waterlogged. Okay. This one's weird. So kind of goes back to that thing I was telling you guys about like the native ranges. This one's technically not native in the Willamette Valley, so that's something you guys may want to know. It is southern, southern Oregon, so snake root. There's a lot of snake roots though. I just don't have the availability of the other ones, so this was the next best thing, and I think they're really interesting. They are woodland meadow plants, full sun. They can handle really crappy soil, so that's what makes them really interesting. So the soil that they can handle is really high in heavy metals. It's called serpentine soil. So certain carnivorous plants have evolved to not take up metals and nutrients like that, and it's on that same soil bed. And yeah, they're just really interesting. A lot of butterflies love them because butterflies are lazy and they don't like to move very much, and there's a lot of little flowers on here. So and they can get tall. So um this is a snake root. Yeah. It's a type of snake root. Couldn't tell you what the common name for this specific one is though. Um but Senicula, I know it's crazy. But also this will be on YouTube as well. Just so you know. Doo, doo, doo. You guys probably know this one, but you might not because a lot of the lupin that we see around is different than this guy. This one's quite interesting. The color is very weird on these. So sometimes it ranges from a light blue to this, which is like a brown pink. It's very interesting. You don't really see this as a flower color ever. These are just going to be pollinators or pollinated by bees, mainly bumblebees. They only have pollen in there, not really nectar. So that's something to take into account. They can get really big and reseed quite well, but they're a great plant for our clay soil. Like I'm sure you've seen them if you go Mary's River natural area. They're all out there. And they kind of form clumps, little islands out there. It's really pretty. And full sun, moist to wet soil. Um, but yeah, and they fix their own nitrogen. So you can kind of plant this and then things around it so you don't have to fertilize much because the soil is already fixing it for you. And yeah, they do reseed quite well though. So you could either collect the seeds or let it do its thing. But yeah. Have you guys heard of checker mellows? Sweet. So Oregon is actually home to a bunch of different varieties of checker mellow, and it's quite interesting because they've all kind of independently evolved and branched off based on different environmental stressors. So I'm just going to go over the varieties that we have first. So Malviflora and Campestris. So one of them is the rose checker mellow and the meadow checker mellow. Their differences are mainly in the color and also where they grow, but they typically are pretty generalist. So grasslands, wetlands, slopes. So, they can establish pretty dry sites, but they'll need summer irrigation when they're first starting. But after that, like, oh yeah, what's up?
You keep saying a word real fast.
Yeah.
What's their common name?
Checker mellow.
Bella.
Like marshmallow.
Mallow.
Yeah, yeah.
Mellow yellow.
I guess it is mallow, yes. But yeah. And
These two varieties.
was that?
Sure, these two varieties.
Yeah, so Malviflora is the one on the left, and then Campestris is on the right.
You said the common is rose and.
Yep, rose checkermellow and then meadow checkermellow.
The meadow is the darker.
No, meadow is the
The
lighter.
lighter.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Sorry, I should have labeled that. But yeah, good question. And so the main difference too is the rose checkermellow can get like 3 feet tall, and Campestris or the meadow can get a bit taller, like 5 feet. But that's the main difference. They typically are habitat for a lot of endangered pollinators too, like Fenner's blue, you may have heard about. It's a type of butterfly that's pretty endangered around here. But yeah, and I'll show you on the next page, there's more varieties that we don't typically carry. These are struggling populations. They're very small pockets scattered around the Willamette Valley. So on the left is I'm going to say scientific names because I don't have, well, actually, it's Herotipes. I don't know how to say that. But the middle one is Nelson's checker mellow, and that one's very like endangered. And then Henderson's checker mellow is also quite endangered. Um,
Where?
they look very similar, right? Like there's very subtle differences. The main difference is in their height, their leaf shape, and then some have hairs on the stems. It's very subtle differences. But yeah, it's fun to definitely look into them and see where they're located. Like Nelson's, I believe, is a little bit further down in Eugene. It's interesting. I don't actually quite know why some of them branched off. I definitely want to research that more because it is interesting because they're within such a small geographic area. But yeah, let's see. Okay, and then this is one of my favorites as well. This is called Sea Blush. These guys are really small. If you were just walking in the forest, you probably wouldn't notice them unless they were in a patch like that. Um, they're a great pollen source for a lot of insects, and butterflies love them. Um, they germinate quite well. They need light, so you wouldn't seed them deep in the soil. You kind of just surface sow and then see what comes up. Like we had a log out in the native garden that we just threw a packet on, a mossy log, and they germinated really well. And it was just a patch of pink. It was awesome. So definitely one of my favorites. I highly recommend it. Full sun to part shade. They're pretty generalist when it comes to that. Um, and yeah, they're typically in woodlands, meadows, and slopes. So it's pretty good, versatile plant. Um, Lots of water to start. And then once they're established and the leafy growth is there, stop watering. They can handle pretty dry conditions. So, yeah. And you can tell in its name, its Latin name, kind of its behavior, congesta. It's going to grow really close and clumpy. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, and then I have some other plants that we also have. I just wanted to show you a picture of on the big screen so you could see. Prunella vulgaris self-heal is awesome. This is our local native. There's Prunella vulgaris just by itself, and that one has more broadleaf leaves. These you see all over. Like if you go to Kings Valley, there's a lot of the Prunella. It's everywhere, but I've found a lot of it down there. Really pretty, really easy ground cover, full sun to part shape. Does really well. Um, and all of you have heard of yarrow, surely. That one is full sun, really easy, very good for beginners. The seeds we have up here, they're really small, so you can kind of cover a really broad area when you mix it into a substrate. Pink to white coloration, and yeah, really easy. And then this one is the popcorn flower. These have a really good fragrance. I grew them last year, and it turned out pretty well. I'd never heard of them prior. But they're full sun to part sun, well draining soil, and once they're in those conditions, they should bloom pretty long, usually from June to August, is what mine did. But yeah, really good, weird smell. Um, any questions so far? We good?
Is that weird smell good or bad?
I know it's good. It's just one, when you smell a flower and it's like, I've never smelled this at all. Like it's just a new brain connection.
Bad spelling.
I know. Yeah, it's not like the corpse flower, okay? It's not like that. That's scary. Um, okay, so now I'm kind of gonna get into actually utilizing the seed. So you're gonna want to not really till the soil very much. We don't recommend it because that kind of unearths a lot of the weed seeds that have been dormant in there. So what I've done in the past is kind of just done the top like 2 to 3 inches with a rake. That obviously still brings weeds up, but it's enough room for a lot of the native seeds to take root. And then what you're going to want to do, if you're going to be really anal about it, is go in there and weed consistently while they're germinating to kind of get them their best start because a lot of the invasive plants will outcompete our natives. It's just a side effect of that. Fall is the best time to plant. So now you do want to wait till there is a downward trend in temperature. I did see, I don't know, I think the temperatures are going up again. So I would wait till after that because you just don't want premature germination. With like Gilead, that blue one I showed you, the globe, that one will germinate pretty quickly. And so you want to be wary of that. So yeah, I would say a good time to start is like the middle of October, end of October. It's kind of hard because that changes year to year, but yeah. And then, yes, you can burn, you can pull. I don't recommend using pre-emergent herbicides, stuff like that. You can if you want. That's just my own opinion. And then, yeah, let's see, did I hit everything? Yeah, you just lightly indent the soil. And then a good rule of thumb for like the depth of seeds though, because some of them are really small. If they're really, really small, typically you just spread them on that barren ground that is raked up. And you don't really have to cover them very much. They'll kind of just do their thing. Why water them in? Exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the sea blush, very, very small seeds. So you kind of just scatter them on there, and they'll be good. And then yeah, we have vermiculite, and I don't have any coco coir mixed up at the moment, but that's also a really good filler to spread your seeds with.
So if you're doing them in containers,
Mm-hmm.
you're recommending doing them as like a flat where you
Yeah.
fill it and then spread the seed in.
Yep, you make your pocket, put like one or two or three seeds in, depending on the size of the plant, and then you can cull them like as they come up. Whoever's the strongest, leave that one.
And then just pop them up.
Mhm.
With any other kind of.
But with using flats, unless you're gonna like have a really nice greenhouse, you just leave them outside because they still need that cold stratification. So you're gonna have them in spring anyway. So I don't know. It keeps them contained for sure. So then you have more time to think about where you want to put them. But it's definitely an option. You just leave the flat out, let it get covered in snow, rain, all of that, and it should be okay. It's like being in the ground basically, but a little bit different. And then predators in flats can also get your stuff really bad. Yeah, definitely. But you can still leave them to the elements though, like letting
Right.
rain get in there.
Or-
Oh shoot, my photo. There we go. And then any questions though? Like, do you have any specific questions with seeding or planting these guys? No? Okay, sweet.
Even on.
It's really
field,
easy,
you
though.
would just seeds out there.
Yeah, you want to get the soil cleared, like a bare ground spot. But yeah, you could just do that as long as you rake and get all that. That's awesome. Yeah, as long as you get the like remaining grass and stuff,
Oh,
certainly. Yeah. Um, and then next I'll talk about bulbs. Yeah, so bulb planting again, fall is the best time. Um, you do want to really research. I find it's best to research like exactly where these plants grow in the wild because that'll help you visualize what can fit in your yard. Um, your soil might need amending because a lot of these natives are maybe up in the mountains more or near the coast where it's more. Our soils are like very rich, but it's very clayey, so you just have to think about that. Add compost if you need, stuff like that. Mulch, it can help break up some of that clay. Um, and then the planting depths, you can get deep into that debate of how deep a bulb needs to be. But a general rule of thumb, 3 to 5 inches is good. Trillium do like to be a little bit deeper, but again, it's like you have to research every single one if you want to be precise. But I think 3 to 5 is pretty good rule of thumb. That's worked out quite well here. And then yeah, that's kind of it. And then so if you want to harvest bulbs too, you would do that in fall, like late fall is a good time. Once the top part of the plant dies down, you can get in there and harvest those guys. But yeah, if you were to buy them here, you would take them home and plant them as soon as you can because their shelf life is not great. So yeah, especially with heaters, that we got here, got to be wary of that. I'm trying to figure out a way to curb them drying out quickly. But yeah. And then yeah, so bulb rot is a common issue. Don't overwater, like I was saying about the fawn lily. Don't add water when you don't need to. Try to be mindful of where it's at. Maybe mark it with a stick or a label or something that you got. And then make sure you get the bulbs in the ground as soon as you can. And then a lot of squirrels and stuff will dig up your bulbs. But a lot of them are toxic to them, so they probably like trillium, they don't like certain things like that. Um, and yeah, and then obviously, yeah, overwatering is a big thing with bulbs, so just be wary of that. That is Darmera. It is a perennial aquatic plant that's native here. I just would thought they're one of my favorites. I don't know the common name. But yeah, I can definitely show you guys a picture. We have them all in our water features. So in spring, it's great. Because what they do is they bloom first and then leaf out. It's kind of like Omalaria, the Indian plum is a really good one. But yeah. And then let's see. Yeah, so just to recap, we have talked about bulbs and seeds, the different perennials and annuals that are available with us, when to sow, and the biggest thing, knowing your site, knowing its characteristics, moisture, and sunlight and stuff like that. And above all, every gardener needs to experiment. I say this, like try different locations, plants are different. They're living things. They all have different genetic makeups, especially native plants. So definitely have fun and use your intuition a little bit with these guys.
Question,
Yeah.
I'm looking at your seeds and
Yeah.
they're all in plastic.
Yes.
And I sometimes use those, you get them at weddings, those little pouches that
Mm.
have aeration. in
Yes,
them.
yeah.
Which is the better way to store your seeds?
So, good question. The plastic really helps with moisture loss, so that's good initially to keep them prime in condition. I put them in paper, this guy. That is a bit better for moisture loss, but I think plastic is definitely the better way to go. But the seeds won't really dry out. They are meant to be like stored in the ground and going through all those like the heat and the rain. So, yeah.
Last.
Mm. So after about 6 months, their germination rate will drop significantly. Um, that's a general rule of thumb. I'm not very good at knowing exactly like which specific ones, but across the board, generally, yes. But I had lupin seeds that were 3 years old, and I just threw them out, and I had like a 30% success rate. So just depends. I don't know. It's kind of you just can't bank on it, right? Um, let's see. I need to make sure. Oh, there's a question here. Ideas for seeds that could be sown along with grass seed or in existing meadows. I'm filling in areas that were logged this summer. Oh, perfect question. Sorry, it took me a second to get to that. So good question. We actually have some mixes that have a bunch of grasses already in there, mixed with perennials and annual natives. The one I'd recommend for you is either the tough site mix or we have the native annual color mix. Those are a lot of annuals, but they also have like the blue ryegrass and stuff like that. So definitely check those out. They're on the end over there if you guys want to pass them around. But yeah, definitely come in and look for our mixes. And let me go over here. Okay. Oh yeah, and then I just have more pictures for you. So here's more of the phlox. Here's a Kiliga. I have seeds for these as well, the columbine. And then this is another Checkermellow. So these can also be in water features. That's Cusickii or Q6 Checkermellow. Now that one, yeah, it's aquatic, or you can have it in a moist area, but I love it as a water plant. They rebloom really well. So yeah, and then so these are resources for you guys. If you want to get more involved with native plant community and meeting people that are into environmentalism, Oregon Flora is a great website. Native Plant Society of Oregon. Any of the OSU extension services are really, really helpful. And then wholesale nurseries. If you guys have a section of your property, sometimes they work with people one-on-one if it's enough to order. So you can actually reach out to them. Like with your project, maybe you had a question about ordering, you could contact Heritage Seedlings potentially and see what they can do depending on the scale. Um, and then, yeah, there are permits and free use guidelines to actually go out into the forest and collect seeds yourself. So you can also do that. Just research it because it depends on the region you're in. Um, and I also love the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition. It's a great organization. I worked on the Denali Creek Restoration Project, which was really fun. So yeah, definitely look into it, you guys. And any questions? Yes?
Think it was the very first that had flowers. I was curious about their flower.
Yeah. Yes, it was Clarkia. Yep, it was Clarkia or Farewell to Spring for you. We have those available. Yeah, those reseed really well too. They're lovely. And yeah, that's kind of it I have for you. Yes.
So it's